Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. I give to you Minister Cathy Hughes. Cathy, welcome again to CWS as it is. Thanks for your patience. We will get there eventually. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Selwyn. My apologies for being a little late.
Oh no, this is okay. This is fine. We're trying to do the best we can under the circumstances. Kathy, tourism is a very key sector in the economic development of a country. It creates employment, it brings people together, tourism brings foreign currency. So I'm thinking you have a very important portfolio. What are your biggest priorities since taking over?
I would say that my major priority so far has been looking at our policy with regard to tourism development in Guyana. We wanted to make sure that we really analyzed what we wanted our product to be. Many of our viewers may know that last year, the private sector and many people involved in tourism in Guyana went through the process of coming up with a concept for our tourism, and we came up with Guyana, South America Undiscovered as our tagline. So what we're doing now is really looking at what is our product going to be. And we know that we are eco-tourism, we know we are adventure and leisure, and we have some niche markets such as bird watching that we feel we have an advantage in, a competitive advantage. And then we have other things like sports tourism. We have a very big motor racing industry. Lots of people come from the Caribbean. We've been exploring the opportunities of yachting, a small yachting industry. So that gives you an idea. The priority really is defining what we want to be. And then from that, we then, of course, can develop our strategies.
Well, as you mentioned, some of those other aspects of tourism, Guyana has many strengths that differentiates it from other tourist destinations. Yet, when we see a marketing or see any attempt to market Guyana, there's a focus on ecotourism. There's an emphasis on ecotourism. How, what steps are you taking in terms of getting the message out that there are other forms of tourism that, tourists can enjoy in Guyana?
Well, just recently, just last week, we we had representation at the Ohio Birding Fair. And just about a month ago, we had a booth at the Rutland Birdwatching Fair in the UK. Ohio was the first opportunity. Rutland we've attended before and have gotten very good responses from. So yes, things like attending trade fairs and getting involved in media discussions and advertising in some of the niche markets. In the case, we have established birding as one of our niche markets. We have over 800 species of birds. Hence the decision to go to trade fairs and occasions where you have individuals and companies from across the world that are booking tourists to come to a destination. So I think in terms of including other areas other than the ecotourism, that's one of the things that we've done recently.
Well, in the world, a lot of big countries are focusing on sustainability and preserving the ecosystems and so on and so forth. Where do you see ecotourism in about 5 years?
I actually hope that in 5 years' time, we would be really stamping our mark as an ecotourism destination. Of course, ecotourism is a little more sophisticated, a focus than adventure or leisure. And that's why we see ourselves doing a combination of it. I think for ecotourism, we are very fortunate that we have Irrikrama, which is ideally positioned and organized so that an individual can understand and appreciate and learn when they come to visit places like Irrikrama about our biodiversity. So I see ourselves in 5 years' time, hopefully, having a lot more visitors that come specifically for ecotourism. And I see us, I would say within the next 5 to 10 years, as being a contender as some of the other ecotourism destinations, such as Costa Rica.
You know, this other topic is subject is very exciting to me, yachting. Recently, there was this rally which started in Trinidad, went to Guyana. When I first heard about it, I was like, wow, yachts in Guyana. Anyway, went to Guyana, then culminated in French Guyana via
That's right.
Suriname. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about this experience. I think the rally of itself is in its third year.
Yes, it is in its third year.
So
And this, yeah, sorry, go ahead,
I was going
Solomon.
to ask you, how did Guyana get involved in this?
Well, as the story goes, one of the individual that has come up with the concept of the yachting rally is a gentleman who is actually Italian, who, of course, recently in the last, I would say, 10 years or so, has been bringing and sailing his yachts to the Caribbean, of course, traditionally in places like the Grenadines, and he's come down to Trinidad. And about 3 years ago, he got caught in a storm. And, storms usually bring bad news, but in this case, it brought good news because he got caught somewhere off of the Atlantic, very close to the entrance, not too far from Essequibo. And so he made contact. You know how the yachties have all their different websites and things that they communicate with. And so he ended up being lost in a storm, had to come into the safety of somewhere in Guyana, ended up contacting Kit Nascimento. And of course, he has a place in the Essequibo, a lovely resort called Huracabra. And to cut a long story short, David came and started to develop a relationship with Guyana. He looked at the Essequibo region and thought, look, the Essequibo River, with the way the river is, the beauty of the area was an ideal place to include in a rally. So he designed a rally that attracted yachters from all over the world. This year we had yachts from New Zealand, from Australia, individuals from Italy, from France, from Canada, from the USA, and a couple from within the Caribbean region. And when you look at the yachting industry, as you will know, there are individuals that sail their yachts down to the Caribbean. And quite often, because of weather and because of hurricanes, they've been coming down as close as Trinidad and anchoring there. When they anchor, they usually have about 3 months up to 3 months that they could be in an area. And therefore, the tremendous opportunity was, if you've got a captured market of people sitting in Trinidad on their yachts for 3 months, why not, in addition to having them enjoy Trinidad and what it has to offer, why don't we encourage them to come to Guyana and to experience Guyana and see what we have to offer? And I'm happy to report on this rally. As you know, it started in Trinidad, came to Guyana, went to just beyond Paramaribo and ended in French Guyana. And it was absolutely amazing because, of course, when they come to Guyana, all the yachters, save and except for one out of, I think it's the 15 or 16, all of them went to Kaitshore. Some of them went to Irakrama. So they're a great source of tourists that come and enjoy the product. But the other thing too is that their community, they spread the word. So, this year we've had about 7 or 8 more yachts than we've had before. Now, it's a small market, but it has a great potential. One of the things we want to look at is actually developing a marina and also providing support services, meaning that people that are taking the yachts to Trinidad now have an option. We have no hurricanes, we have stability in weather, so they don't have to worry about the safety of the yachts. Guyana is a safe haven. And then when they come here, we want to be able to train young people to have a marina so that the basic cleaning and maintenance of their yachts can be done by Guyanese. So that's the thinking.
You know, there are some considerations when there's an international community visiting a country, especially by boat. There customs, immigration, and health clearance processes, and so on.
Absolutely.
How
Well,
what can you say to tourists or potential tourists who are concerned about those matters and how how tedious the processes can be?
well, I'm happy to say that we looked at that about a year and a half ago, and we really perfected it by this year. The yachts actually are cleared in Bartica. So we've actually established immigration and customs services in Barbados. Sorry, in Bartica. And there's now literally just two forms that they fill in. So, as you know, when the yachts arrived in Guyana, just about, I think, maybe 3 weeks or a month ago, I was actually there in the Essequibo. And we were happy that at the launch, we had representatives from the customs and immigration. And the yachters were able to report that the system moved very smoothly. What happens is they come all the way up the Essequibo River, they go to Bartica, they complete their paperwork, and then they are legally landed in Guyana. When they're coming up the Essequibo, they're coming up on the right bank of the Essequibo River, which is a very safe and calm section, not as much rocks, because traditionally you need to know the Essequibo River to go in there with a boat. So they were very, very happy. The people of Bartica have received them well. And next year we want to make sure that we do one of the specific events in the community of Bartica.
All right, that's about yachting, tourism, people traveling in by airplanes and then taking smaller planes to go into various parts of Guyana hinterland, which offers a lot of a lot of richness. Recently, I had the honor of interviewing Captain Jerry Gavaya Jr., and he was telling us about some of those tight airstrips and tight, that, tight landing, right? And so I am wondering if there is any effort by the government to build build airports or improve the landing strips that are in these remote regions.
Absolutely. That is a really very, very fundamental to the development of our tourism industry. We have to have the infrastructure in place. And so I was very, very happy that just about, maybe again about 3 weeks ago, Trans-Guyana Aviation, you may have seen online, actually unveiled a new plane. They have a new Beechcraft, and it's a 19-seater plane. And at that event, we had the Minister of Infrastructure, Minister David Patterson, who really highlighted the government's priority to refurbish a lot of our airstrips. What has happened is that they have not been well maintained over the the last few years, and what has happened is that in many of them, the airstrips, the length of the airstrip is much smaller, just because you have so many bushes and things in the surrounding areas. So one of the things is that the government does intend to, in some cases, resurface those airstrips. These are the interior airstrips. And then, of course, in some cases, they are actually going to ensure that we restore it in terms of moving away some of the encroaching vegetation that has limited the length of those airstrips. The other exciting thing, as you would know, is that there was a Chedi Dragon airport expansion project. And that project puts aside about 150 million US dollars for the expansion of the runway at Tamari Airport, which will allow larger aircrafts, including the jumbos, to come in. And also there is a portion of that that is for the refurbishment and the expansion of the current airport facility. So I'm quite encouraged and excited that the requisite infrastructure that has to be in place to complement and encourage the expansion of a tourism industry is being looked at by this government. And it is my hope that, once the infrastructure starts to move and improve, we will be able to improve the product. To give you an example, Mike Correa, who is the CEO of Trans-Guyana Airways, when he was talking about their new 9-seater plane, mentioned that, for example, on trips to Kaieteur, normally you would know we have planes that can take a maximum, a smaller aircraft that can take a maximum of sometimes 8, 11, or 12 individuals. Now, the plus of landing a 19-seater aircraft at Kaicho Falls, of course, that is the assumption that we do the requisite changes and expansions to the runway there. But the cost effectiveness of a 19-seater is tremendous. So if you have, in terms of your cost, your aviation fuel, all the things that come into play to determine the price. So he was able to say to me, look, Cathy, we are sure that landing this 19-seater, we would be able to make Kaichor possible to potential tourists and Guyanese at a much cheaper price than the current price.
Awesome.
So that's exciting.
That's exciting indeed.
Yes.
What's one point you're trying to emphasize about Guyana right now?
What's one point that I'm trying to emphasize? I'm trying to emphasize that we have remarkable product. And, I'm so happy every time somebody comes and they go to the Rupununi, they see our savannas, they see our mountain ranges, they can go for a hike, they can see the black caimans, they can go on our canopy walkway, which unfortunately was damaged the other day, but we're about to work out a way to fix it. It was damaged due to a storm. If you go up any of our rivers, our waterfalls, sports fishing in the Abari, bird watching, we just have an awesome natural destination. And the things that people think of in terms of existing in other areas exist in Guyana. It's a pristine environment, but a lot of Guyanese who, as you know, usually the locals of a country are the ones that can sell the product. But in Guyana, it's only within, I would say, the last 20 years or so, the Guyanese, we've been developing our tourism industry. And Guyanese abroad, I would say, even more so in the last 10 years, when they come home, they're making a point because of the awareness of wanting to get out of Georgetown. And, the big cities like Berbice or Linden, the knowledge is there that there's something extra out there. There are resorts. And so more and more Guyanese are wanting, when they come to Guyana, to travel and experience the product. And that's an exciting thing.
You were here recently for the Labor Day celebration, annual celebration in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And I happened to see you at the Kwekwe. By the time I get a chance, you were so enwrapped I didn't get a chance to talk to you there. But what were you hearing from Guyanese that are points of interest for them in the tourism industry?
I was hearing mainly from them that the majority, there's no question that they want to come home. They want to come home, especially during next year and be part of the 50th anniversary celebrations. What I tended to hear from them was not so much, I didn't have to sell the product. They know what we have and they want to come and learn more. What I had to deal with really was their concerns about the high airfares, the inadequate airlift, because really we need to have more and more airlines coming to Guyana and being able to offer packages and fares at a competitive price. And of course, security was also another area of concern. And I was happy to be able to address that. I was happy to be able to say to Guyanese abroad that, yes, we have a security issue, but it is very, very high on our priority list. If you follow what's happening online and in our newspapers, you will see that in recent time, there's an aggression with regard to finding individuals that are responsible for the spate of robberies and the spate of violent crime. And so, something happens and you're noticing a couple of days later that you're seeing people that are charged and are coming to the courts. I'm actually about to deliver a letter to the Commissioner of Police, and because I want to go and meet with him from a tourism perspective. And I've done this with Minister Kamraj Ramjatan, just saying to them that, look, you have to be on top of this. We cannot